Manhattan, New York, a freezing autumn morning. The leaves of the oak and maple trees in Central Park had created a wonderful canvas of golden, red, and orange colors. The morning sun reflected off the glass walls of the skyscrapers on Fifth Avenue, covering the entire city in a blanket of golden glow. The head office of Crestmont Design and Development, one of the city's most luxurious and famous architectural firms, spans from the 52nd to the 55th floor of a building right here on Fifth Avenue. From the penthouses of Silicon Valley tech billionaires to the villas of Dubai's sheikhs, the designs for everything are created in this Crestmont studio. Its interior is entirely decorated with Italian marble, crystal chandeliers, and modern abstract art. Even the air here seems to carry the scent of aristocracy and arrogance. Exactly 10:30 a.m., an old man came and stood in the main lobby of Crestmont. He was wearing an old red and black checkered flannel shirt, faded Levi's jeans with light patches on the knees, and dusty Timberland work boots on his feet. Slung over his shoulder was an old leather tube, the kind usually used to hold architectural blueprints or designs. The old man had a salt and pepper beard and wore ordinary reading glasses, but there was a strange sharpness and tranquility in his eyes. He looked completely out of place in this sparkling corporate environment. It seemed as if a worker from an old lumber mill in upstate New York had mistakenly wandered into this high-end Manhattan office. As he stepped toward the reception, the front desk security alarm went off. Immediately, the main security guard of the lobby, Brad, walked up briskly and blocked his path. "Excuse me, sir," Brad said with a hint of annoyance. "How did you get in here? There's a rear service elevator for delivery boys or construction workers. This is the main lobby. Only our VIP clients come here." The old man slightly lowered his reading glasses and said in a calm voice,
Good morning, young man. I haven't brought any delivery. I have come to meet your managing partner. I have a design for a project that needs to be discussed.
Brad was about to say something into his wireless radio right when Chad Mercer was walking by. Chad is the client relations director of this firm. He was wearing a $3,000 custom-made Italian suit, a Rolex watch on his wrist, and had perfectly gelled hair. He stopped Brad, looked at the old man, and a smile of contempt appeared at the corner of his lips. "What's the problem, Brad? Who is this? Has he come for some charity fund or what?" Chad asked laughingly. The old man looked calmly into Chad's eyes and said,
"No, I am here with a proposal for a mega project. I want to meet the senior partner of this firm, Mr. Richard Vance."
Hearing this, both Chad and the receptionist, Stacy, laughed out loud. Chad pulled a silk handkerchief from his pocket, wiped his hands, and said, "Listen, Mr. Whatever your name is, Crestmont Design is not some local hardware store that you can just walk in with a design to fix your backyard garage. Our minimum project budget here starts at $50 million. What's inside that worn-out tube of yours? A design to make a wooden chair?" The old man was not the least bit fazed. That calm smile remained on his face. "Young friend, what you think is a design for a wooden chair could perhaps have been the biggest masterpiece of your entire career, but you were only used to judging by clothes." Right at that moment, Richard Vance pushed through the huge glass doors of the lobby, the managing director and senior partner of Crestmont. Richard is an extremely arrogant man. Although he is renowned in the corporate world, as a human being he is extremely rude. The only philosophy of his life is, he who has no money has no existence. Upon entering, Richard frowned at seeing this gathering in the middle of the lobby.
"Chad, what is going on here? I have a board meeting at 11 and you are chatting with a homeless guy here?"
Chad quickly stood straight and said, "Sorry, Richard, this man is insisting that he will meet with you. Says he brought a design for a big project." Richard looked the old man up and down once. Then, with extreme annoyance, he said, "This is ridiculous. Has the building's security system stopped working? Brad, throw this man out by the neck right now. And if he doesn't want to leave, then call the NYPD. I don't have time for this garbage." Saying this, Richard stomped away toward his private elevator. The old man let out a deep sigh. He told Brad, "You don't have to push me, son. I am leaving on my own." He slowly went and sat on a leather sofa in the lobby. Right at that time, Ethan Hayes stepped out of the elevator holding 4 cups of overpriced Starbucks coffee. Ethan is 26 years old. He came to Manhattan with big dreams, holding an architecture degree from Ohio State University. But in reality, he's an entry-level draftsman or intern at the Crestmont firm. He has a massive amount of student loan debt on his shoulders, and he lives in a small shared apartment in Bushwick, Brooklyn. His everyday job is just fetching coffee for the seniors and correcting minor mistakes in AutoCAD. Ethan had watched the whole incident from a distance. He carried his coffee tray and walked straight to the old man. "Hello, sir," Ethan said in a soft voice. "I am Ethan, a junior architect here. I am truly very ashamed of their bad behavior. Would you like a cup of coffee? It's very cold outside." The old man looked at Ethan and smiled gently. "Thank you, Ethan. I'm just wondering how a polite boy like you is surviving in this shark-infested corporate ocean of Manhattan." Ethan smiled and handed a coffee cup toward him. "I actually love to dream, sir. I want to build beautiful things. That's why I came here." Ethan's eyes fell on that old leather tube resting on the old man's lap. "Sir, if you don't mind, can I see your design? I studied architecture myself." A gleam flickered in the old man's eyes. He opened the tube and spread a huge blueprint out on the table. Seeing the design, Ethan's eyes nearly popped out of his head. This was no ordinary building design. It was a master plan for a massive, sustainable eco-city for the Bronx area, where solar panels, rainwater harvesting, vertical gardens, and low-income housing had been woven into a wonderfully beautiful combination. The design was so flawless and modern that even Crestmont's best architects wouldn't be able to imagine such a thing. Ethan was mesmerized and said, This is genius, sir. But he paused slightly and pointed at a section of the design. According to New York City's zoning law, the load-bearing pillars of this south block need to be shifted a little bit, otherwise the wind resistance might fail. If we rotate it by a 3-degree angle, more natural light will come in and the structure will be stable too. The old man stared at Ethan in surprise. There was unadulterated joy in his eyes. He put his hand on Ethan's shoulder and said, "You don't just dream, Ethan. Your vision is also very clear. You will go very far." Suddenly, Chad's voice was heard in the lobby again. "Hey, Ethan, you were sent to get coffee and you were sitting here gossiping with that beggar? Do you think your job is that cheap to you?" Ethan lowered his head and stood up. The old man rolled up his blueprints. Then he took a heavy white envelope out of his pocket. The envelope was sealed with red wax. He placed the envelope in Ethan's hand and said, "Ethan, deliver this envelope to your Mr. Richard Vance's desk, but make sure only give it to him when he is alone." Ethan took the envelope in his hand. The envelope was quite heavy, and its paper was extremely expensive parchment. He nodded his head in agreement. The old man exited the lobby and melted into the crowd of Manhattan's busy streets. Afternoon rolled in after midday. Crestmont's office was busy with the pressure of work then. Ethan gathered his courage and went to Richard Vance's corner office. The entire wall is made of glass, from where the Empire State Building can be seen clearly. "Excuse me, Mr. Vance." Ethan knocked on the door. "What do you want? I'm busy," Richard said without taking his eyes off his laptop. "Sir, the old man who came in the morning, he asked me to give this envelope to you." Ethan placed the envelope on Richard's massive mahogany desk. Richard took the envelope in his hand, visibly annoyed. "That crazy guy left this again? You could have just thrown it in the trash bin." He angrily tore open the seal. There was only a single piece of paper inside. There was no typed writing on it, just a few lines written in beautiful cursive handwriting in black ink. Right at the top of the paper was a watermarked logo, Pendelton Holdings. Richard's eyes suddenly went wide. His breath was about to catch in his throat. He started reading the lines. "Dear Richard, your hospitality this morning has impressed me. No matter how expensive the exterior glass of a building is, if its foundation is weak, it is bound to collapse one day. You forgot that Crestmont's foundation was built on vision, not arrogance. I will be present in the Crestmont boardroom tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I hope your security won't throw me out by the neck then. Arthur Pendelton, founder and majority shareholder, Pendelton Holdings. Richard Vance's hands started trembling. His face had gone pale as if someone had sucked all the blood from his body. Arthur Pendelton, a living legend of the American real estate world, who has been living an ordinary life away from the public eye on a ranch in Montana for the last 10 years. But 65% of Crestmont's total shares are in his pocket. He is the primary owner of this company, and this morning, Richard had ordered him to be thrown out by the neck. Richard hurriedly called Chad on the intercom. "Chad, come to my office immediately, right now." Within seconds, Chad came running inside. "What happened, Richard?" Richard threw the letter at Chad. "Read this, you idiot! The man we thought was a beggar this morning, he was Mr. Arthur Pendelton, our ultimate boss." After reading the letter, Chad slumped down onto the sofa. "Oh my God, we're dead! What do we do now, Richard? He's coming tomorrow." Richard went and stood by the window. His mind started brewing a wicked corporate scheme. "Don't panic. We can spin this. I will tell the board tomorrow that he came with a fake identity, and due to security protocols, we couldn't recognize him. Besides, he's old. We'll play the medical dementia card. We'll say that he was behaving incoherently. Our legal team is strong. I will not give up my position under any circumstances." Standing outside the door, Ethan could hear this entire conversation. His chest was boiling with anger. Not only did these guys make a mistake, but now they're conspiring to falsely accuse a respected man. At night, when everyone had left the office, Ethan stayed seated at his drafting desk. He logged into Crestmont's internal server. Then he pulled up the email list of the board of directors. He began typing a long email. Subjects: misconduct towards Mr. Arthur Pendelton at the Crestmont office and cover-up plan. He wrote in detail about the morning's incident, Richard's behavior, Chad's insult, and finally meticulously described Richard's plan to fabricate false evidence. Along with it, he attached a backup link of the lobby's CCTV footage from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Ethan's hands were shaking as he sent the email. He knows that because of this single click, his career could be destroyed tomorrow, but he wants to remain clear with his conscience. He clicked the send button. The next day at 8:45 a.m., New York's sky is cloudy today. A drizzling rain is falling. There is pin-drop silence in the Fifth Avenue lobby today. Richard Vance, Chad Mercer, and the entire senior management are standing in a line. Richard has a nervous but artificially confident smile on his face. Exactly 5 minutes before 9 o'clock, 3 black Chevrolet Suburban SUVs stopped in front of the building. 4 suit-clad corporate lawyers got out of the cars, and the person who stepped out of the middle car made the breath of everyone in the lobby catch. It was the same old man, but today he wasn't wearing a flannel shirt. Today, he is wearing charcoal gray 3-piece suit from Italy's famous Tom Ford brand, a vintage Patek Philippe watch on his wrist, and polished Oxford shoes on his feet. His walking style and the gravity of his appearance declared that he was one of the most powerful men in Manhattan, Arthur Pendelton. Arthur entered the lobby. Richard quickly stepped forward and extended his hand.
Good morning, Mr. Pendleton. Welcome back, sir. I am truly extremely for yesterday's misunderstanding.
Arthur completely ignored Richard's extended hand. The look in his eyes was as cold as ice. He walked right past Richard and started heading straight toward the elevator. He just said in a low voice, "Let's go to the boardroom, Vance. I didn't come here to listen to your PR speech." All the partners and directors were present in Crestmont's massive boardroom then. The atmosphere in the room was tense. Arthur went and sat right in the main chair of the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, I founded this company with a dream to construct buildings that would improve people's lives. But yesterday, when I stood in the lobby I built myself, I saw that we are not building buildings, we are only building egos and arrogance.
Richard stood up, swallowed hard, and said,
Sir, please let me explain. The attire you came in yesterday, our security protocols. Shut up, Richard!
Arthur's voice boomed through the entire boardroom like thunder.
You are teaching me security protocols? You thought you would take advantage of my age and attire to prove me crazy? You thought you would lie to the board?
Richard's face turned white. Sir, I never such... Arthur motioned to his lawyer and said something. The lawyer played the CCTV footage and the email sent by Ethan on an iPad screen. Every word of Richard and Chad's cover-up plan was clearly written there.
It is your misfortune, Richard, that there are still some people in this company who value honesty more than your corporate politics.
Arthur looked at Ethan, who was standing in the corner of the room.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. You didn't just buy me coffee yesterday, you saved the sinking conscience of this company.
The entire boardroom looked at Ethan in shock. Arthur turned to Richard again. Richard Vance, you are done. I'm not firing you, because that way you will leave with a massive severance package. Instead, starting today, you are demoted from the position of managing director.
The warehouse project we have going on at Brooklyn Harbor in New Jersey, you will join there as the site supervisor from tomorrow. You will go there and learn what dust, mud, and the ground reality of real estate are. And if it hurts your ego too much, then you can resign. The choice is yours.
Richard felt as if the ground had slipped out from under his feet. A site in New Jersey means the final nail in the coffin of his career. He stood with his head bowed. Chad Mercer was suspended for 6 months. Arthur now took out the blueprint of that Bronx eco-city from his briefcase and placed it on the table. He looked at Ethan and said,
Ethan Hayes, yesterday you caught a major flaw in my master plan, which the overpaid architects here couldn't catch. The budget for my project is $1 billion. And from today, you are the lead architectural consultant and assistant project manager of this project. Your office will be on the 55th floor.
Tears were about to burst from Ethan's eyes. He said in a muffled voice, Sir, I'm just an intern. I don't even have a license yet. Arthur smiled gently.
A license is on paper, son, but vision and heart are inside. I saw that spark inside you. And yes, give your student loan papers to my legal team. That's a sign-on bonus from Pendelton Holdings.
1 year later, work is underway at the massive construction site in the Bronx. Ethan Hayes is now one of the youngest and most successful project directors at Crestmont, wearing jeans, a hard hat on his head, and a rolled blueprint in his hand. He was walking around and inspecting the site. Suddenly, he saw in the distance a man wearing mud-caked boots and a yellow safety vest, checking a cement mixer with the construction workers. The man was none other than Richard Vance. Burnt by the sun, his skin color has turned coppery. There is not the slightest trace of that old arrogance on his face. Ethan walked up to him. Richard, how is everything going? Richard lifted his head and looked. He remained silent for a moment, then wiped the sweat from his forehead and smiled. It's going, Ethan. You know what I have learned standing in this mud over the last year, I didn't learn in the last 10 years sitting in that AC room in Manhattan. To build a real foundation, you have to get your hands dirty. Ethan smiled. I'm glad you understood. That afternoon, when Ethan returned to his 55th floor office, there was the red glow of sunset in the Manhattan sky. He stood by his window and took a sip from his coffee mug. On his desk sat a small wooden frame. It housed a small framed piece of paper taken from Arthur Pendelton's old tube. On it was written, "A person's true identity does not lie in their clothes or bank balance. Their identity lies in the strength of the foundation they build. Build it right." Ethan looked out toward Manhattan and smiled gently. Yes, he will build everything exactly right, not just buildings, but people's trust as well.